Hi guys, so we're here with a new video and we are talking about the big changes that they made for Solo Shuffle going live into the second phase of the pre-patch event of Dragonflight or also the expansion whenever Dragonflight will come out. Those changes are going to be live for Solo Shuffle, and I must say that I'm actually surprised on how they are actually taking it like changes wise, well, what they are actually doing with tanks in solo shuffles. And I know there's a lot of people actually complaining about tanks. I do also complain about tanks, but I never went to say that we had to ban tanks from PvP, and I'm glad that they went with this design or at least direction. So now let's talk about what they say in the blue post. So we have been following the conversation about tanks in our new PvP mode, Solo Shuffle, Ranked Solo Shuffle. Tanks have long been a design challenge for PvP. I frankly, I'm very happy on them owning up that they actually had a challenge with PvP and how they actually want to design tanks into PvP, as their abilities and tuning are intended to allow them to survive against multiple enemies or dungeon and raid bosses. In battleground modes like Capture the Flag, where a large team killing a specific player is the primary objective, the existing design for tanks can work well. Indeed, but the problem is tanks are not equal, and if, let's say, the difference between a fire mage and a destruction warlock can be big because of the meta, the difference between a guardian druid and, let's say, a protection warrior, or let's say even a blood decay, is immense. Guardian druids are just that much better, right? One team needs to coordinate their burst and CC against the other team's tank and healers. Well, CC a bit difficult whenever you have the sleeper legendary or still the talent to not get CC'd. Anyways, use of their defensive abilities and positioning. But in the case of Arena, the general survivability of tanks, particularly when they are also good at dealing damage, Guardian Druid, or healing their teammates, Guardian Druid, can be a frustrating experience to play against. So it is indeed very frustrating if said tank is actually very good and very potent at dealing damage or healing their allies, or both, and also survive, and also having anti-CC. Anyways, I could go rampant about it. Our first attempt at addressing this problem in Solo Shuffle was to replace healers with tanks in matches where they were involved, and to pair strong off healing tanks, specifically protection paladins, against each other. The feedback we have heard from you is that these matches are not enjoyable for the other players and more needs to be done. Indeed, I feel like there is a obvious problem where some classes just don't survive if they don't have healers. There is a reason why in twos you don't see a survival hunter playing double DPS most of the time, because it is not made to go for double DPS. It is better with a healer because they will not flop over and they will have time to ramp and also to do CC. But I can also talk about other classes, like for example Arms Warrior. Without, like, before the Dragonflight changes, Arms Warrior in twos wasn't really as strong because I mean in double DPS comps, because you needed to have heals to actually survive damage. Now you have self healing in talents and such, but still I still think Arms Warrior just works with healer, and so does in ranked solo shuffle. You don't really want to play triple DPS, you want to play healer double DPS. We want to make it clear though, excluding tanks from arena or solo shuffle is not an option we are exploring, and I'm very happy they are actually saying that, because it's actually a bit not so bright, I would say, to say it politely, to ask the developers to actually remove specs from game modes, because again, like they said, we create content that is available to everyone. They don't really want to exclude a spec. There are some players who enjoy playing one class or specialization, and like for example Swifty, I'm pretty sure he likes to play Protection Warrior, and he is probably its preferred spec, and you don't really want to exclude people, right? We do not want to isolate those players and believe that there are more design options for us to explore. Indeed, I think you could balance or make balance changes specifically for PvP to make it viable but not obnoxious. Or you could do what they had done, like right now, like the continue to discuss the best solutions to the system and how to create a more positive experience in solo shuffle for all players, we decided to make the following changes. Protection paladins will remain classified as healers, so they can play as a healer versus like another protection paladin, and they can only play versus another protection paladin. So you can't really play with another healer. Protection paladins are probably the specs that are actually getting the short end of the stick, because there are not many protection paladins. So if you want to queue up as a protection paladin, I think the queue will be quite long, I think. So those are going to be very, very long queues. The remaining tank specializations will be classified as a damage dealer, which I'm happy of, with a maximum of one tank damage dealer permitted in the match. So it means you cannot face two guardian druids, or let's say a healer, two tanks matchup. That's not going to happen. But that's also very good, because that means that protection warriors, if they want to play solo ranked solo shuffle, they can be, I would say, admitted and played. Will they win a lot of matches? I don't know, I don't think so, especially if they are still getting 30% more damage, plus the dampening starting really soon. I don't know if it's going to be very, very useful, but at least they are permitted as a DPS, and it makes that you still have a healer to play with, and it means that the matches are a bit more long instead of just having like 3-minute matches. And when I say 3-minute matches, I meant a real whole match with 6 rounds for 3 minutes or 5 minutes. It's quite annoying, right? So I prefer to have longer matches where I have a chance to actually express skill and express the skill gap that you can have between players. So that is a positive. Alongside these updates, we will be looking closely at actively tuning tank abilities in PvP, and that's very good. I hope they are not going to butcher tanks, because I don't want to have tanks being a useless spec, because then in ranked solo shuffle you're going to match with a tank and you know you're going to lose, or at least you're going to lose 3 rounds or 4 rounds or whatever, 2 rounds with that specific tank. I think you should give more damage, or at least more consistent damage, and remove the tankiness from the tanks, and they will be like a sword and board DPS instead of being a tank that tries to be DPS. So that would be nice to have, and they will do specifically around solo shuffle. So I think the changes that they are going to make are more fit into the ranked solo shuffle system instead of the 3v3 or 2v2 ranked game modes. But we will see how they are going to do that. So these changes will be soon live in the Dragonflight beta, and are planned to be available in the Dragonflight pre-expansion patch with phase 2 during the week of November 15. As always, we appreciate your feedback. Please continue to provide feedback via the forums or the Warcraft devs on Twitter. So my opinion with this is actually they are kind of listening to the community. They're not listening to the overall negative people that actually try to remove tanks as a whole from solo shuffle, because that's not going to happen. That's not ever going to happen. They're not going to say, look, this class is impossible to balance. It is not possible to play in ranked solo shuffle or even 3v3 or 2v2, because that never happens, first and foremost, and that will never happen because they don't want to exclude anyone. Imagine your best and most favorite spec that you want to play every day is not possible to play in specific game modes. That would be like terrible. The design itself is very terrible. It's like saying in PvE there is like destruction warlocks and survival hunters being rampant in Mythic Plus, and they were too rampant that you have to remove them from the Mythic Plus rotation. I mean, that would be insane, right? So I would say that they need to actively balance those tanks. They need to actively work on those tanks and see what we can do around that problem. But I'm very happy that I would see a Blood DK or even a Guardian Druid, I don't care, a Protection Warrior or a Brewmaster Monk in ranked solo shuffle. But at least I will know that there will be only one tank, 2 healers, and 3 DPSs, instead of having like 2 tanks all the time, where you will have no healers and you will die and flop over really quick. So I'm very happy with that. I don't know, you guys, what do you think about those changes? Let me know in the comment section below. Please Subscribe to the channel if you like those kinds of content about PvP, PvP news, PvP guides, PvP tips and tricks, gameplay, and just ranked solo shuffle and 2v2 and 3v3 gameplay. But also RBGs. You will see some tier lists really soon, but I wait for Dragonflight to come out, where I will test a lot of a lot of classes, but also just do a lot of PvP and have a grasp on the meta, so I can also discuss with you guys about those specs and designs. So thank you for watching, have a great day, and we will catch each other very soon with a new video. Have a great day, bye.